Are you spending everything that you earn, struggling to see the value in your work? Maybe you're ignoring financial advice. You know, these habits are holding you back, and I'm here to help you break them. Now, the habits I'm gonna give you, I'm really gonna give you 3 key ones that I think are most important. And no, it's not stop smoking or stop drinking. That's not the habits we're talking about, right? And I'm not saying you gotta get out there and exercise, although that's a good idea. Here's the habits you gotta break right now. Number 1, you've probably heard this before, but stop spending what you make, right? Or even more than you make, or you're spending more than what you have. In other words, stop having too much month at the end of your money, right? You don't wanna be paid, not just paycheck to paycheck, but worse than paycheck to paycheck. Now, here's the problem with this, is that so many people out there are shaming you for spending money, and I get it. Like, I've been in a place where I was in the hole over $15,000 a month. That means I was short $15,000. I have to make $15,000 more to be able to pay my bills between my business and my personal life during that last recession. And it was hard to deal with. So I'm not coming from a place of judgment, because the truth is you've got so many challenges against you right now. You've got freaking inflation that's going up all the time. And although they might raise your wages at work, it may not be enough to battle all the extra costs you're dealing with. Especially if you have credit card debt and things like that, you might be paying more in payments for the same money that you had before. You have to buy a new car, and now you're paying more, a higher payment for those higher priced cars than you were before. It's like a double whammy. So there's no doubt that it's pretty dang hard to be able to make enough money and not spend more of it. So I know that some of you guys, if you had more money coming in, you're not spending a lot. It's just you're not making a lot either. So understand that I come from this perspective, understanding what you're coming from. Now, that being said, you still have to produce more than whatever you're spending, right? You still have to make sure that you're not spending more, because that's just not gonna work long term. You're gonna eventually run out of money. You're gonna eventually be in a place where you're overloaded in debt and you're bankrupt. And we want to avoid that, because bankruptcy doesn't just hurt you in your pocketbook, it hurts you even in your heart. And so for you guys, it's got to get spending under control. And that can look in various different ways. I know some of you are just barely making it. Do what you can. And that's where it really leads to me to my second point. Because the truth is, you can only reduce your expenses so far. And I do recommend that you start tracking your money, be very careful with it, be a wise steward of your money. Watch what you're spending, but also watch what you're earning too. And that's the big thing here, is that you can only reduce the expenses so far before you're living in a cardboard box, and we don't want that. Like, this is not the channel to say, here's how you can be free living on the streets in a box, right? That's not what I want. I want you guys to increase your means, not just live within your means. Although living within your means is good, increasing your means can allow you to live within your means much more easily. And that means increasing your income. And the best way to do that is not just asking yourself, how do I make more money? That question has been asked for generations, and yet people still struggle financially, don't they? And you might have been asking that same question, and you might still be struggling. And so instead, focus on, how do I create more value in my work? Whatever that work is. How do I provide more value, more solutions, more service to people, so that money is just a natural byproduct of that service? This was an epiphany to me, huge epiphany, sadly, after I quit being a financial advisor. When I was a financial advisor, it was the same thing. It was just, how do I create money, right? How do I make money? And how do I essentially have a sale? Because that's what financial advisors do. They just sell you crap, right? And so really it was like, how do I help my clients by selling them stuff? What changed for me in general, and business became easier, and income, making more money, became so much more effortless compared to what it was before, is that instead of just asking, how do I make money? I started asking, how do I create a win-win for the other person? How do I create value? How do I serve them? Or how do I solve problems for them in a way that they want to exchange money to get that value in their life? Because they know that the money is the form of exchange that we all use. That's what we all agree upon, right? We exchange dollars for that value. So the question is, how do I become more valuable to other people? Even Warren Buffett, when he did his meeting last year in 2022, even he said, listen, if you want to fight inflation, find ways to be more valuable. That's the same advice I'm going to give you as well. The best way to fight inflation and the best way to get your spending under control is creating more value, and that is what gets you paid more. So you can go to your work, you can even go to your employer, your boss, and say, what can I do to create value for you and the company? Or what can I do to serve you that would merit me a raise? What can I do in my work? And I've had clients before. I had one client who did that. And they said, well, do these 3 things and we'll give you a raise. And they did. He went from $15 an hour to about $18 an hour. That's a big deal. That's a 20% raise for him. And then a few months later, his boss walks by his office and says, how much do I pay you again? And he's like, oh, you pay me $18 an hour. He's like, I'm gonna get you a raise. And so he got him up to 20 bucks an hour. So even within a year, within a matter of months, about 6 months, he went from $15 to $20 an hour. And then he said, but no more raises. Well, about almost a year later, a job position came up that would give him a raise. So he got that job position. And it only gave him a couple $1 an hour more raise. But he did that for 10 months straight, got to the annual review, and they said, all right, you did a great job with us. We want to bump you up to 25 bucks an hour. And my friend said, nope, not enough. Here's the things I've done to go the extra mile. Here's how I've over-delivered value, even beyond what you expected me to do in your line of work. In fact, I even took on extra projects that you didn't pay me for just to show you that I'm here to serve. They said, all right, what do you want? He says, I want 28 bucks an hour. Deal. We got to keep you because you're awesome, because we want more guys just like you that are trying to serve us. That's the thing. It's not about what you get out of it. It's not being entitled. It's about how you deliver value. I had another client who did the same thing, worked for a very, very large bank, and a promotion was coming up. And they would only give out 2 positions, but there was over 100 people competing for those 2 positions. And I asked him, I said, well, what do you have to do? He said, I don't know. I don't know what I have to do. I said, go and ask them, what can you do that would allow you to really earn this promotion? And so they said, all right, well, he's kind of in a sales role with that bank. He says, if you sell this product, we'll consider you. I just said, listen, you spend the next 3 weeks doing just what they said, just that. I don't care if you have to take an extra hour or so at night just for these 3 weeks, do it. And so he did. They gave him the position and they called him into his office. They said, you know why we gave you this? No, why? Well, I said, well, honestly, you weren't the best salesperson in our company. There were people that did way better. In fact, the best guy we brought on for position number 1. We gave you position number 2 because you were the only person out of 100 plus candidates that actually asked us what you could do for us. And that stuck with us. That impressed us so much that all we had to make sure is that you can actually deliver on some of the results. He did a decent job, and the rest was history. His position allowed him to make an extra $2,000 to $4,000 a month. Huge, huge difference in his and his family's lives. That's what's so important. Create value. You get nothing else from this video. Remember, how do I go about creating a win-win for people, creating value, serving them, and solving problems? That's the key to making money. And by the way, if you're a business owner, that is the only way you make money. That is the best and only way to be able to make great money. Now, the third thing is that you need to ignore the advice of financial advisors or money experts that profit off of this advice. The problem is that the people have the habit of listening to other financial experts and even financial advisors is that they're swayed based on how they're paid. I didn't intend that to rhyme, but I do it some of the time. So anyways, financial advisors, they sell you products. So naturally, they want you to buy their stuff. They're only going to suggest buying those things. Now, money experts that you see on TV, it's not as easy to see, but you'll see sometimes that they often will advertise some of the companies that they own. That's not a bad thing. Like, we advertise stuff too. We talk about infinite banking. Yeah, we make money off of that. We actually advertise our consulting services to help people create passive income. Yeah, we make money off of that. But we do so much more than just that. We also talk about other things that we don't profit off of because they work. And that's what's so important. By the way, mutual fund money managers, never listen to them about economic advice because they naturally want you to feel safe, keep putting money into their mutual funds, right? So you gotta be careful. You gotta follow the money. You gotta understand where it's coming from and understand where this advice helps them. A lot of the stuff I'm giving you right now, really, I make no money off of this, but I know that this will serve and help you. And as I know, creating value, eventually that always comes back around. Even if it's not from you, you refer somebody else to watch this video. By the way, I would love it if you guys share this video with somebody else and say, here's some great advice, you should do this. Definitely love it if you can do that as well. So if this was valuable for you, subscribe to our channel. By the way, also subscribe to our Money Ripples podcast channel that we have too, if you want to hear more podcasts and go more in depth. And if you like this, just keep watching. There's this Make You Rich series that we got some more videos for you. You should definitely check out.